Hi y'all, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com, and today I am here to show you how to sew this sassy little circular tote. I have two different styles here. This one, as you can see, has a fabric tie closure. This one also, the handles were created with the webbing on the back and then the fabric accent on the front to offer that a slightly different look than this one here, which I sandwiched the webbing in between the fabric and then used a magnetic snap closure. On the inside of this, you can't see it because it has a narrow opening there, is a slip pocket that you can divide any way you like. I chose to create a narrow channel for a pen and then space for a phone, and then a larger section for miscellaneous items like keys, lip gloss, lotion, something like that. There's quite a bit of cargo space on the inside of this, but it definitely is a handbag for sure. It measures about 13.5 inches across by 12 inches tall. And the handles are very, very shallow there with just a 9-inch drop. So I really want to encourage you to have fun with the fabric choices. Imagine a crushed velvet, wool, flannel, corduroy. You can use some great fun graphic prints. I happen to get these prints at my local fabric shop when I was there over the weekend for Haymarket Day. And I'm almost positive she has a website if you want to check out her offerings online as well. I am grateful that there is a fabric shop in my town, and of course would like to support them in any way that I can. So without further ado, shall we get started sewing? So to make this sweet bag, you're going to need to cut out 4 circles from cotton fabric, and those circles have a 14-inch diameter. And what I did is just use some inexpensive twill there to make a template, because I used kind of a homemade protractor and then created that circle. So once you get your pattern, then your future bags will be much easier to make. But it does take a little bit of refining to get that first circle. So the 2 that are going to be on your exterior should be backed with Pellon 809, and you're going to trim off a 9-inch across. So it's not 9 inches down, it's just 9 inches across the top there. This is not essential that you do this, but it does reduce the bulk when you're stitching that top down. So you can see my Pellon was not exactly perfect, so I'm just gonna trim that away, and that's not really a big deal. And so I have 2 pieces for the exterior that have the Pellon with the little notch out of the top, and then 2 14-inch circles for the interior. We're going to begin with the interior because I want to add a little slip pocket there for pens and maybe lip gloss and the cell phone. Okay, so this pocket's 6 inches by 12 inches across, and I thought it would be fun to give that a little inverted angle here to complement our circular shape. So I'm going to fold that pocket in half and then come in about 2 inches and just trim off a little less than an inch in. And this will give you an idea of what the shape looked like that I carved out of that pocket, okay? So now I want to take this pocket and position those panels right sides facing. I'm going to stitch up the sides and across our top there, and then down this other side. I'm going to leave the base open to turn that around. And for those pockets, for the pocket you'll want to use like a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I'm going to turn that around and go ahead and press that at the iron so that everything lays nice and flat. And while I'm there at the iron, I'm going to fold under this bottom edge just a 1/2 inch to get a nice finished edge. And here's what that pocket looks like pressed. And I really like that angle that we created there on the top, and then I folded in that bottom edge to create a finished edge. So I want to top stitch across the top of that pocket. And then I'm going to bring over one of my interior circles there and position this pocket on there. And this is going to be positioned 4 inches up from center. I want to pin that in place. And then I'm going to stitch down the sides and across the base, and I am going to go ahead and divide the pocket right in the center. And then looking at this, I'm going to add one more divider here right at the edge of that slope to hold a pin. So now I have a 3-way divided interior pocket. This left-hand side here should be plenty big enough for the phone. I have a spot here for maybe a small notebook or lip gloss, lotion, and then of course my pen. So that's awesome. I want to take the remaining interior circle and position that right side's facing on this pocket panel. And then I'm going to take my ruler and mark where the 9 inches across that top there, okay? So, and I think because it's going to be very important not to sew past this point, otherwise we won't be able to get inside the bag. I'm going to put 2 little marks right there. And I'm just using a pigment ink pen. Probably not the best choice, but that's how I roll. Okay, so I will go ahead and put 2 pins in this just so the circle doesn't shift. And I'm going to start out here and stitch all the way around and then stop here with a back stitch. I've made it around there, and I used a very narrow 3/8 of an inch seam allowance for this as well. And I want to now fold that top edge over. I'm going to set the interior aside and start working on the exterior. The Pellon, of course, was already notched at the top, so that can serve as your guide when to start and stop. You just want to make sure you align both sides. And I do have a directional pattern here. I wouldn't want my bicycles upside down. So if you're working with a directional pattern, just make sure you have that going the right way. And I'm going to stitch all the way around with the same 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, taking care to back stitch at the beginning and the end. And then you're going to turn this right side out because this is your exterior, and because that Pellon has the tendency to kind of wrinkle and crinkle up, I am going to give this one more nice press to even that out. But before I head over to the iron, I want to fold that top edge inward. Now the exterior is complete. I'm going to bring back over the interior. And for this one, I'm going to install a magnetic snap. Another really cute option would be to create a little tie closure from a coordinating fabric there, and for that my tie was 2 inches wide, and then you can make it however long you want. I would go ahead and just press up a 2" by 40" tie and then cut that in half, and you would put one part of the tie on either side in between that interior and exterior layer. But for this bicycle bag, I want to go ahead and install the magnetic snap. So this is a small magnetic snap, and the snap comes with the female and the male portion, and then 2 metal backers for that. And so take and come down at least 1 inch so you can clear your top stitching with this, and then mark on either side with a pen or whatever it is that you like, so you get the 2 little cutouts from that, and that's where the prongs will fit in. And then just take your seam ripper and gently cut through that fabric. If you want, you can back this with some Pellon as well. This snap, magnetic snap, is not a very powerful magnet, so I feel the 2 layers of fabric will be just fine. You feed those brads through there, slip that backer on there, and then again I use the pen just to push down those prongs so I don't have to hurt my fingers. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over to the other side. Same thing, just find where that interior, because you want it to line up, and this backing will actually, you know, stick to the interior because it's a magnet. And then go ahead and mark. And then cut. And then you just fit that opposite piece through there. And that should line up nice, and then you can put the backing on that and lock those tabs in place. So that's going to be my closure there. And now I want to slip this interior inside of that exterior, and because there's no Pellon on the interior, it just folds up nice and fits in there without much trouble at all. I'm going to begin by lining up those side seams and putting a pin in there to hold that. Okay, so when you're satisfied with how your interior fits, you can set that aside, and we're going to craft the straps. I want to show you that there is a high probability that your interior is going to be slightly larger than your exterior. So just fashion 2 tiny sweet pleats on each side, and it actually adds a lot of detail to this. If for some reason you have a perfect seam allowance and you do not have this extra, no worries whatsoever. If your extra happens to end up on the outside, 2 pleats on the exterior would be fabulous as well. So now I want to craft the handles. We're going to use a little bit different technique. I cut out 2 5-inch wide strips of fabric, and they are 18 inches long, and then I used an 18-inch piece of cotton webbing on the inside to add some stability to that strap. And so like I make all the straps, you're going to fold that in half, press, open that up, go ahead and put that webbing on the inside, fold that over, and then fold it over one more time and stitch down both sides, and you'll have 2 of those 1-inch straps. Okay, I have 2 awesome straps. I really like how much weight that webbing adds to the strap, but yet you can't see the webbing at all because the brown does not match this adorable bag. So now we want to just insert the ends of those straps in between the exterior and the interior layers. And then just double check, make sure you're happy with how the pleats look and the fabric is laying. And then you can go ahead and attach all those layers. Once you get that up there, you're just going to slowly stitch all the way around, reinforcing with a back stitch at the beginning and the end, as well as at each handle. And that is what the finished bag looks like. It's super sassy, would look amazing with a pair of jeans and a t-shirt or a sweater, just for quick errands, date night, out with the girls. It's really fun. So there's just enough room to reach inside of there. Because of the pocket, you got your phone, your lip gloss, your pen. I am really excited to see what prints you choose for yours, because this is the kind of design that really the fabric selection is going to make it. So in this case, this wonderful graphic sets the tone for the bag. But imagine if you use like a crushed velvet or a wool or a plaid. This could be really fun. I have a feeling you'll want one in several different fabrics. And then don't forget, you can add the tie closure to add a different look entirely to that bag. And I'm just going to hold up the two of these so you can see how different those look depending upon the closure and the fabric, of course. This one's, to me, is a little fancier and more elegant, and this one is just fun, like I said. So please let me know how your projects work out. I will be back next week with another fun project for you. And until then, as always, the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. Have a beautiful week, everyone.